When DICE revealed they were making 2 maps specifically about amphibious warfare, I think a lot of players were a little bit skeptical of the outcome. But this map here, Zeebrugge, is an almost perfect combination of that amphibious warfare and the infantry gameplay that we already know Battlefield 1 does so well. Over the weekend, DICE arranged several CTE playtests of the 2 new maps coming to the game in late January as part of the North Sea update to the Turning Tides DLC. We have Zeebrugge, that I'll be playing today, and Heligoland Bight, which I've spoken a hell of a lot more about in my videos on this update. Now, both of these maps have a larger focus on vehicle gameplay, and overall they just simply revolve around amphibious warfare during World War I. I hadn't had the chance to play the Zeebrugge map yet, as I was away at the time that DICE did their first playtest, so this footage that you're watching right now is from my first 6 or 7 games that I've played on the map, and my impressions of it are extremely good. This map, Zeebrugge, although it might look quite similar to Heligoland with that huge expanse of water and fairly limited infantry space, it does end up playing quite differently. The infantry areas hold a lot more of the power on the map when it comes to the scoring, and the soldiers running around on that huge concrete mole jutting out into the North Sea, they're the ones that I think will make more of a difference than the vehicles here. The Conquest Assault game mode is employed on this map, the same as Heligoland Bight and Cape Helles, and this time it puts the Germans on the front foot defending the mole and the open shoreline. Now, Capture Point A is set on that shoreline around a railway hub with tracks, a small network of trenches, and pillboxes defending the open beaches. Those tracks then extend onto a wooden structure which has been destroyed and fallen into the water, and that completely disconnects the A flag from the rest of the map. This turns the flag into sort of a pivot point. It's quite hard for the British to attack the flag, since they have to head to it via water to get to the shoreline, and then they're in full view of all the AA cannons, all the coastal cannons that are mounted onto the mole, and of course people on the beaches in the trenches looking right at all of those boats coming straight towards them. If the British can hold on to the flag, however, and maybe capture another couple of flags on the mole, then they will hold an advantage. That, and the fact that the A flag is much further away from most of the action, really leads me to think that this is the pivotal flag on the map. Whichever team holds it is likely to have some sort of advantage. Now, flags B and C, they are set on the closer half of the mole to the beaches. The B flag houses a train yard. It's the end of the tracks, which are now destroyed at the bottom of the ocean. And the C flag is a munitions dock. Now, the mole sits on 3 different levels of verticality. First of all, there's like this catwalk section along the far outer wall. There's various AA cannons up there, coastal cannons, really long lines of sight. Then you've got the main level, which is where most of the outbuildings are and where that B flag sits. And then you have a lower C level where the munitions dock is. Down there as well, we have a submarine pen. That's the D flag. There's plenty of angles in here to hide, making infantry fighting really quite chaotic. And finally, we have the E flag, which is a British warship, HMS Vindictive, and that is moored next to the outer wall of the mole, right on the other side by the catwalk. Now, I'm sure many of you have already noticed that the flag setup here is totally linear, and I can hear some grumbles already down in the comments section. There is a natural curve to that line, but that's just because the mole is naturally curved and it heads out into the North Sea. But personally, even though some of you might not be too happy about it, I had a great time as an infantry player here on a linear conquest map. The layout of the map actually reminds me quite a lot of Operation Metro from Battlefield 3, but of course, we're playing Conquest Assault here, and the Germans at the start of the game have access to every single flag. They hold all 5 of them, which means the British don't really attack in a linear formation. They attack out from the sea, and they can go to any one of the 5 points that they want to. Just because the flags are all lined up in one line, that doesn't mean that the gameplay here on Zeebrugge Zeebrugge ends up being linear. It's actually quite circular, and you don't really know what's going to happen next. You don't know which flag's going to be taken or which one you need to defend. Once the British do manage to claim a flag on the mole, however, you do have lots of different routes that you can take. As I mentioned, you have the upper narrow catwalk-like location that offers really long lines of sight along the outer wall of the mole. There's not very much cover up here, but it does make for a very good flanking route if you want to get round a bunch of enemies that might be further down the mole on a different level, and you really want to get round behind them and attack the flag from another direction. The main level, that's closer to the beaches and past the sub-pen out the other side towards HMS Vindictive, that's the widest of the 3 levels, and it offers plenty of soft and hard cover for players to use as the 2 teams fight over different locations. There are a few different outbuildings on this level as well. They stick out into the main route, sort of creating these little kind of trap rooms, and it offers some solid cover if 2 teams clash together, but if you manage to get a grenade in there, the chances are you're going to get quite a few kills. This level is perfect for assault players with their SMGs to bring down enemies at close range, but I've also seen support players succeed here too by using their bipods, locking down a section of the map, really looking down a line of sight and suppressing enemies. With the new weapon balance active as well, Zeebrugge was actually a really good test to see how all of the different weapons now work together, and I've got to say, it did feel very, very good. The lower level that's right down at the water's edge is perhaps the least used of all of the 3. This is the only level where you can be within the capture radius of the sea flag, the munitions dock, but it's also a route that you can take to access the sub-pen. Now, on the other side of that, there is a section where you can move back up to the E flag, flank right round if you want to, and I think this is the reason why it's the least used of the 3 levels. You are always in full view of the massive naval battles going on out in the water. Torpedo boats will easily spot you and likely try and take you down. The C-class airship with its main cannon will take you down in one shot, and even the destroyers will likely have a pop shot at you as you run along that concrete wall. You are very exposed down on the low level, so you have to be careful and use any cover really that you're given. Speaking of naval combat, however, how does it fare here on Zeebrugge? Well, it certainly doesn't have the same impact as it does on Heligoland, but that doesn't mean that it's not good fun. Now, there are no dreadnoughts here, so we're talking torpedo boats versus destroyers, and then of course you have aerial combat as well, the C-class airship and the planes. With the concrete mole splitting the map pretty much cleanly in half, vehicles or water vehicles are almost forced to be much more aggressive so they can be in a position to actually see their opponent and then attempt to take them down. The artillery strike on the destroyers that you can call in from the driver position, that can be really, really powerful against other stationary boats who aren't perhaps paying attention to you, or it can be easily used to shell one of the outer flags on the mole. The sea flag does have a small amount of capture area that juts out into the water, so you can take advantage of that, maybe use one of the torpedo boats to go over there and capture the flag from the water, but the area is so small that if you got anywhere close with a destroyer, you're just going to become a huge target for explosives, rocket guns, and just general chaos from the infantry that are on the flag. And not to mention, you might end up being too close to the mole to be able to use your cannons correctly and not really point them where you want to fire them. The C-class airship can play a good role in the gameplay here on Zeebrugge, but I would have to say that with the map having more of a fair split between infantry and vehicle battles, you will find that the airship just becomes a huge target in the sky for every enemy to start attacking. You can be destroyed almost instantly by AA cannons, different planes with their rockets, guns on the ground, and infantry maybe using rocket guns as well. The effect of the airship with its huge main cannon on the front is somewhat lost here on Zeebrugge, whereas on Heligoland, with a more open airspace and just in general more vehicles to get distracted by, I think the airship does better on that map than it does on Zeebrugge. Overall, the Heligoland map is shaping up to be a proper all-out war battlefield map, just as Heligoland is. I'm going to be doing a separate video on Heligoland tomorrow, as DICE have made some really good changes there and improved the map quite significantly, but Zeebrugge I think is likely going to be the map where infantry and vehicle gameplay can coexist more naturally. Thank you very much for watching, and let me know what you think of this map down below in the comments section. I was quite skeptical of DICE having 2 dedicated naval warfare maps, but now I've played both and enjoyed them. I can see they knew what they were doing all along. But again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Get